Hey everybody. So this video is going to be a hopefully quick video on how to plot the main effects you find, or the main slopes you find from a regression, and how you make a graph. Now I use Excel to make my graphs, so I'm going to be showing you data from SPSS and then working it in Excel, and then putting those numbers into Excel for you to see how to do it. All right. So first we look at our data. So I'll share the screen with you. All right. Here's our data right here. All right. So we look at the main effects. We see that both of those are significant, but we see that there's no interaction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first show you what we would do, where we would plot each of these main effect lines. All right. Then I'll show you how you would plot this interaction. Sorry, my mind is going blank. Then I'll show you how to plot this interaction, even though it's not really warranted to do so here. So first, let's look at the main effects. So since we found the main effects here, we need the numbers. We need the unstandardized betas from here. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take those numbers, I'm going to copy those, then we're going to put them in Excel. All right, so there's our numbers. All right, and I'm gonna transpose those right quick. All right, then I'm going to put some space in between them. So all I did is, inserted spaces between them. All right, so now I'm just going to create a formula. So what I want to do is I want the constant plus the product of this and this. I know there's nothing there right now, but there's going to be a value there, and I'm going to put it in a little bit, plus the product of this and the number I will be putting in there. All right, I'm going to enter. Now I know that I did that right because that number equals that number. If I'd have done something wrong, this number would come out weird. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put x in here and x in here, because what we really have here is y equals a plus b x plus b x. All right, so this is a formula you've seen if you've ever done regression. All right, so I'm just going to copy that, and since we need, in order to draw a line, you need 2 points, one at each end. So we're going to copy that and we're going to paste it down so that we have it twice. All right, and then just to help myself out, I'm going to label these so that I know what I'm looking at. So I'm going to first draw a line for the condition, for the perceived childhood income differences. All right, so I want low income and high income. But I want to control for the condition. So the way we can do that, because 0, if I put a 0 in here, that's not controlling for it. If I put a 1 in there, I'm not controlling for it, because both of those values mean something. 0 means that they were in, because this is a categorical variable, and so 0 means they were in a condition where they saw, where they wrote about something they were unambivalent about, and 1 represents a condition in which they wrote about something they were ambivalent about. So what we do, since there were 2 conditions, we put 0.5 in each of those. All right, you see how they're both these numbers are still the same. All right, then for low income and high income, we usually use 1 standard deviation below the mean. That's minus one SD. Minus 1 SD. All right. And then plus 1 SD, so plus 1 standard deviation. All right, so how do I get those numbers? Where do I get +1 and -1 standard deviations? Well, I go back to my data. Well, up here, I found the standard deviation of perceived childhood income. I know it's not CPCA, but all the C means is that it was centered. And so literally all centering changes is the mean. It makes the mean 0. The standard deviation always stays the same. So the standard deviation is 1.5588. We're going to round to 1.59. All right. So then in the low, we just put -1.59 because, again, the mean is 0 because it's centered. And then, so one standard deviation below that would be -1.59. And then because the mean is 0, one standard deviation above that is 1.59. And now we have our numbers. Okay, so now I come over here, I'm going to put low income, high income. All right, and I'm going to put the number. So this is the number for low income, and here's the number for high income. Then I just highlight that, insert line graph, boom. There is my graph. All right. So now what I would do is I would reformat this. So this is APN format. Make sure the axis had the full range of numbers. So I think that the axis, the values could only be from 1 to 7. So I would go in here, format axis, make the fixed number, the minimum fixed number 1, and the minimum, the fixed max number 7, and then I close and see it's fixed. Now you can insert axis titles. The way I do it typically, although newer versions of Excel have an easier way to do this, what I usually do is I'll go to insert and I'll put a text box in here. I'll type in what it is. Y-axis. I don't know why that's not centered. And then I just turn this on the side, move this over, and then I put that over there. Again, I don't know why that's not centered. It should be centered. There we go. All right. Make sure that these are actually words. So boom. All right. And then again, make any other modifications. I'm going to delete that. Now, let's say I want to look at the differences I want to look at the differences between my two conditions, because there was a main effect for that. Well, because it's a categorical variable and I'm holding the other continuous variable constant, I need a bar graph. So how do I do that? Well, then now I'm changing this to, this is the ambivalence condition. This is the unambivalent condition. Well, remember that the ambivalence condition was indicated with a 1, and the unambivalence condition was indicated with a 0. All right, so then I just put those numbers here. All right, here I just need to put in the mean, which was 0. All right, so now I just highlight these, insert bar graph, boom, and there's my bar graphs. All right. I need to change these. These are wrong. So this is the ambivalence condition. This is the unambivalent condition. Boom. There's my bar graph. I mean, I still need to format it in APA formatting, but it's done. All right. There's my bar graph. All right. Now I'm going to delete that, because what I'm about to do is going to get a little bit more complicated. Let's say that I had, so I'm going to delete all this. Let's just delete the whole sheet. Yeah, I deleted it. Now I'm going to go back to my regression. All right, now let's say I'm going to plot an interaction. All right, so now instead of these numbers, because the main effects were up here, now I'm looking for the interaction in the simple effects. or the simple slopes. Those are down here in model 2. So I need these numbers. No. System, stop being weird. Stop it. Stop it. Okay, I'm not sure why it's being a jerk. There we go. So I'm going to pull my Excel back over. I'm going to paste them in. All right. So now I'm just going to transpose those. And I'm going to add space in between. Now what I'm going to do here is going to be a little bit different because this is an X and that's an X. Well, this is X1 and this is X2. Well, this is actually the product of X1 and X2. So this is X1 times X2. All right, and so I actually need to put in a formula here. So this is equals this times this. I know it's nothing right now, but it will be a little bit. All right. Also, because I'm drawing two lines, a line for perceived childhood income in the ambivalence condition and perceived childhood income in the unambivalence condition, I actually need two lines. Each line requires 2 points, so I need 4 values, a point for each value. So to get that, I'm going to copy this 3 times. So there are the 2 points for the first one, and there are the 2 points for the second line. So I want to see if the effect of perceived childhood income changes when people are ambivalent versus when they're not. Now we know that even if we make this line graph and there is a discernible difference in the patterns, we know that that difference is not significant. All right, so we really can't interpret that this interaction is really there. But so I'm just doing this to show you how you would do it if there was an interaction. All right, so what we would need is low childhood income. I'm going to expand that. High childhood income. All right, so those are the 2 points of one of the lines. And I need those down here. But this would be in the ambivalence condition, as with this. I don't know why that popped up. That was weird. These two would be in the unambivalent condition. All right, so now I just fill in the values. So what is one standard deviation below the mean on perceived childhood income? All right, well, go back up here, we go back to our descriptives right here, so it's 1.59 like we did use before. So low childhood income, 1.59. So sorry, it'd be low, so it's negative 1.59. High, that's be positive 1.59. And those numbers would be the same down here. Now here we have something different. So again, the ambivalence condition was coded as 1. So 1 would be for both of these. And the unambivalent condition was coded as 0. So 0 would be for both of these. All right. So we now need to create the formulas. So we're going to put equals the constant plus the product of these two numbers, close parentheses, plus the product of these two numbers, close parentheses, plus the product of these two numbers, close parentheses, enter. All right. Now I know that these numbers don't. All I have to do is delete these to check this. It's equal. This number and this number are equal, so I did it right. So put those numbers back. Now I just copy this down. I'm going to do is I'm going to begin the basis for my line graph. So low childhood income, high childhood income, in the ambivalence condition, and in the unambivalent. Yeah, the spelling is terrible. Leave me alone. So then we just fill in the values. So low income ambivalence, high income ambivalence. Low income unambivalent, high income unambivalent. Now I just highlight, insert, line graph, boom. And there we go. And then I just make these APA formatted. All right. Change this, you know, in the way we did before. That's good. All right, and there's my two lines. And again, I'd make it APA formatted. But so as we move from low childhood income to high childhood income, those in the unambivalence condition, they grew more ambivalent. Whereas people in the ambivalent condition, this line is still slightly positive, but it's nowhere near as positive as this one. All right. So then what we'd probably find is that the relationship between the simple slope between of childhood income predicting subjective ambivalence would be significant in the unambivalence condition. So let's go look. All right. So this is the original coding. So here, 0 was the unambivalent condition. So here is the effect of perceived childhood income. Here's the simple slope of perceived childhood income predicting subjective ambivalence. And lo and behold, it's positive and significant. Well, go back over here. This is the line, the relationship between perceived childhood income and subjective ambivalence in the when participants were asked to write about something they were ambivalent about. So to find out if that slope is significant, again we go to our output, but this time we go to the regression where we recoded the condition variable such that 0 means the ambivalent condition. And so this is the simple slope of perceived childhood income predicting subjective ambivalence when they were in the ambivalent condition, and lo and behold, it's still slightly positive, but it's not significant. All right. So there is the process of making your line graphs. And that is it for this video. I know this was a longer video, and I'm sorry about that, guys. But hopefully you can, pause it, rewind it, go through all the steps again and again to be able to do it for yourselves. All right, guys, that's it for this video. Send me your questions. Take it easy.